guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with my mid-month wrap-up for July. We are already halfway through the month, and I have 10 books to chat about, so I am getting over a cold. I am like at the very end, so if my voice sounds a little different, it's because I have been sneezing and sniffling for the past 2.5 days, so that's been fun. But I will go ahead and get through the 10 books that I still managed to read, which I'm super excited about. So I only own 2 of them physically. I've been reading a lot audio and ebook, so we're gonna get to it. I only read 1 book physically because the first book I read was Not So Lucky by Trulina Pucci. I read this through an ebook. I got the e-arc from it, and Trulina Pucci gave this to me when I saw her at Book Bonanza. So this one is so pretty. I love the cover. This is fun. So Trulina Pucci writes very, very fun romances, and that's what I rate them as. I feel like there are different ways I rate romances based on the kind of book that they are. So this one's just meant to be a spicy, fun time. That's what I rated it by. This one is a Wake Up Married in Vegas romance, and it has some group activities. It is not Y2s like Tangled and Tinsel was. This one is the heroine and the hero meet, and the book really starts after they got married, and he's a football player, and they want to go and get a divorce, and they are forced to live together and wait a month until they can get a divorce. So then we get like flashbacks to what happened, and her friends start making a bet that she won't be able to resist him, and then he makes a bet that they get money if she doesn't resist him. So it's just a lot of fun, lots of spicy times. I gave it 4.5 stars, and there was actually more, I feel like, of an emotional plot than Tangled and Tinsel, where both her and the hero just are not ready to emotionally open up to someone, but they start really heavily falling for each other and not wanting that and freaking out about it because they're not people who fall for people like that, and they just cannot get enough of each other. I thought it was such a fun time. Like I said, don't go in here expecting anything super serious. It's just fun. And if you want a fun Married in Vegas time, read this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. So 3 of these books I did listen to for my PR company that I run for audiobooks. So the first one was Transcendental by Persephone Autumn. If I read them for my company, I don't rate them, but I just still tell you about what the book is about. So this one's a very emotional story about the hero who is a musician and the heroine who is a widow. And the hero goes to this kind of like retreat to learn to kind of like get into the writing mindset again and really try to make music again. And he meets the heroine, and the second that he sees her, he's really into her and drawn to her, and he starts wanting to be around her. They start spending more time together, but then she leaves and they don't see each other again, and then we flash forward in time, and now they're reunited, and it's kind of like their second chance at love. And that's what this romance was. It was definitely very emotional because she is trying to get over losing her husband, and I really like the music aspect, so it was just a very sweet emotional romance. Then I read Rule by Cassandra Robbins, which I also worked on for my PR company. I had read Power last year though, or earlier this year, and I loved it. Cassandra Robbins writes such good, spicy, forbidden romances. So Power was a mom's fiance romance, and Rule, which I read on audio, is a professor romance, and he is actually the brother of the hero from book 1, so we do get to see that couple. You don't have to read it in order though, but I really loved seeing them. And this one is a student-professor romance, and it's kind of like she moves in with her sister, who's her half-sister, who hates her, who's also a professor there and was hooking up with the hero. So it's not like it's like sister's ex, but it kind of is because he was just like sleeping with her sister, and things get messy, but he is so into her, and I love a hero who is just like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't want you, but I just can't stop thinking about you, and you're all I want. And that's what this one was, and it was just a taboo, forbidden, fun time. And this is kind of like Tangled and Tinsel, where you go in knowing it's going to be super spicy, and this specifically is just super forbidden, and they're gonna sneak around, and she's gonna try to resist but won't be able to resist. So if you want a forbidden, spicy time, you have to check out Cassandra Robbins, specifically Rule. Then I picked up our Historical Hellions pick, which is Wild Land, Wild Love by Connie Mason. Connie writes very wild romances. So this one is an Australian romance, where this does deal a lot with the fact that there are a lot of well, I forget what they're called, but they're like the prisoners who were sent into like work in Australia, and the heroine is there with her dad to take over a farm, but her dad is dying, and her dad's dying wish is for her to marry the hero who is working at the farm. He's worked his way up from being a convict, and he has earned a lot of respect, and she doesn't want to marry him. She's like, oh my gosh, absolutely no way. She's very judgmental of any of the convicts. That like is acknowledged. Like, she is from a very high place of privilege, and she doesn't understand the convicts are real people, and she shouldn't be scared of of them, and so she ends up having to marry him as a marriage of convenience, and things go from there. There's so much happening in here. Like, multiple people are trying to kill her. She's going back and forth to this town that the hero is like put in charge of, and it's just an entertaining time. Like, she almost dies a bunch of times. She is so adamant that she hates him, but she obviously is really into him and lusts after him, and you take it as it is, as an old historical romance. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I couldn't put it down. I read it very quickly. I mean, to be fair, I had to read it because I picked it up the day before the live show and read almost the entirety of it the day of the live show, but I had so much fun. I gave it 4 stars. Not bad. I mean, I really liked Ice and Fire better, or Ice and Rapture. Whatever the Alaska one was that we read for historical Hellions, I like that one better, but this one, entertaining. I really enjoyed it. Then I read Meet Your Match by Candy Steiner, which I read for a reading vlog, which I can link down below. That was reading new releases, so I read Not So Lucky, I read Meet Your Match, and then I read one that's later on in this video. But Meet Your Match is a hockey romance where the heroine's in social media, and she is tasked with following the rookie around on the team for this podcast in order to have the social media just blow up about the hockey team, and it does, and she has to basically live directly across from where the hero does and follow him 24/7, and they end up falling for each other. They have undeniable chemistry, and they bicker and banter over that and then fall for each other, but she doesn't want to not be taken seriously because this is her career, so she doesn't want to like be known for sleeping around with the people she's working with, but they are obviously falling for each other. I just went 4.5 stars. The second half was absolutely amazing. The first half was a little slow for me to get into, so that's why I got 4.5, but I really loved how hard the hero fell. Her heroes, Candy's, fall so hard for the heroines, and I'm always obsessed with it, so I really liked how that turned out. I really liked the hockey setting as well, and I'm so excited for the rest of the series because Candy builds up the side characters so well that you are dying to know what happens with them, so I cannot wait for book 2. Then I read Wrecked by Lauren Asher. This one really deals with the hero who has a lot of anxiety because of things that happen in his past, and the heroine also is dealing with a lot that happened in her past. So this one I listened to an audio. In the beginning, the first half, I was very bored. I can't even tell you what happened in the first half other than the fact that she is hired to basically watch over him. She works in PR management, and her parents were murdered when she was little, so she grew up with other family, and she really wants to be able to provide for her grandmother, so she is tasked to keep him in line, which is like a trope that's been done a lot, and I don't know if I'm just like over that trope, but it was fine, and I didn't really start liking it until they started like really falling in love, and then he pretty much obliterated her heart because he thought it would protect her, and then them having to like figure out how to be together. So this one I'm gonna give like 3.5 stars. It was not my favorite, unfortunately. It's just the plot was so slow in the first half, more like the first kind of 3/4 where I was just like listening along. It's very long as well, and I wanted more Formula One. I feel like this one really didn't have a lot. It was more so about them traveling together and her trying to keep him in line and keep him not getting into trouble. So it was just fine. I wanted to love it more. Maybe the audio wasn't the best way to go because when I was listening to it, I was just like, nothing's happening, and I really don't like slow audiobooks. It makes the book feel so much slower to me. So this one, 3.5 stars, but I'm excited to continue on. I skipped book 2 because the plot really didn't sound interesting to me, and I did like book 1, so hopefully book 4 is the one that I like the best. Then I read Pushing the Limits by Brooke Cumberland. Brooke Cumberland is actually also Brooke Montgomery, who co-wrote as Kennedy Fox, so she is now writing like completely on her own. She does have some small town romances that are coming out later this year, but this is one that she decided to like rewrite and republish on audio, so I did help with the marketing of this, so I will not be rating it, but this one is a very emotional, very taboo professor-student romance, and she is an art student and he is the art professor, and pretty much since she walked into the classroom he is like, oh my gosh, I'm so into this girl, and he knows that he shouldn't be, she knows that she shouldn't be, but they both have lost people in their past very tragically. She lost her twin sister in the beginning, so definitely know that going in. They have both lost people in their lives and really bond over that, and the heroine has really dealt with her trauma and her guilt over what happened through her art, so I thought that was really fascinating how her art helped try to heal her, and the secret she has involving her art, and she works at the studio that I think it was his grandmother owns, so they are constantly around each other and he cannot stay away from her. So if you want another professor-student romance, this time with an art professor, and she is an artist and they both have a lot of trauma to heal through, I would pick this one up. Then I read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I do talk about this in that reading vlog as well, and this one is very low angst. It's very, very good, but I am someone who absolutely loves angst, and I've been in such a weird reading mood that like if something's too slow or boring, like you've seen with these books, I get like really just feeling like I can't pay attention and I'm not enjoying the book. So this one, I will say my reading experience was not like a 5-star reading experience, but the book was 5 stars. If that makes sense. I'm giving this book 5 stars. However, it is so low angst. It's just so sweet. So the hero and heroine meet and they fall so hard for each other, and they end up sleeping together on Halloween and then going their separate ways. And then the heroine realizes she's pregnant, and so she freaks out and doesn't know what to do, and she ends up asking her friends to get in contact with the hero so that she can meet him and tell him, and he is shocked, and he is doing a lot of healing from his own trauma, losing his own mother, and the heroine is slowly like trying to pull that out of him. And he says that they should live together because she lives in an apartment that has like no elevator, and she lives on like the 4th floor, and he's like, this is not gonna work. He's like, you just move in with me, I have the space, just do it. And so they communicate so well with one another. They figure things out so well. She is definitely adamant though that they stay friends because she doesn't want to ruin the relationship they have because it's so strong and they get along so well, but he is obviously like so smitten for her. And so it's really about her trying to navigate becoming a mother and this relationship with him and not wanting to fall hard for him. And it was very, very cute, and I really loved how hard they fell for each other and the development of their romance. And it was a 5-star book. It's just very low angst, and knowing me as a reader, I was in the mood for angst at the moment. So while it took me probably a week to get through this book, I think it was a phenomenal book and phenomenally written. Just know it's just all about the emotions and the journey the characters go on, and not necessarily anything super angsty, if that makes sense. It's really hard to explain this book, but I wanted to let you know because I talked a little bit about it in reading spins with my patrons, but I'm like, it's just taking me forever to get through this. It's super sweet and I really like it, but it's not like my vibe right now that I'm going for. So really, really sweet. I really, really enjoyed it. I love how the hero felt for her, but definitely just like two people who communicate really well that fall in love. Then I listened to the audiobook of The Magic of Discovery by Britt Andrews. This is a wide choose romance where it's hard to explain. So the heroine owns a magic shop, the heroes all move into the apartment above her magic shop, and she starts seeing this like prophecy of things, and things go from there. There's a secret about her, there's lots of magic, the heroes have a secret as well, they're really there for like a mission and she doesn't know, and then she starts falling for all of them. So it's just your typical why choose fantasy romance, nothing super exciting or special about it, but it was definitely a good time. So I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed listening to it. I enjoyed the heroes. I enjoyed the unraveling of some of the mystery of the fantasy element. She is basically like a plant witch, and she keeps on having these like spurts of intense magic, and the like freaky demons are following her around, and the heroes are very protective over her. So the heroes are hiding a lot, and there's a lot that's left to be uncovered, I'm assuming, in the series, so I would love to continue on. But overall, it was like a solid why choose fantasy romance that I had fun reading. And the last one I read was Swallow Your Pride by Sarah Blue. This one I was really excited. My friend Samantha from Books with Samantha recommended it. I'm giving this one 3 stars. I needed, after reading Out on a Limb, I was like, give me angst and drama, give it to me. And this one's supposed to be a dad's best friend romance, and I was like, perfect. So I started it. It's very short, but they got together like halfway through the book, and then it was just them communicating and sleeping together and falling in love. And I'm like, where is my drama and angst? So I feel like they just like work things out way too quickly in this one. She goes to Florida to see her estranged father because she is the child of an affair. So his family did not know about her until recently, and then he died. So by the time she gets to Florida, her dad is dead, and she was given shares of the company and a job in the company and her dad's cottage. And so she moves in there and she starts working for the company. Her half-brother hates her guts. He thinks she ruined everything because she got his shares. So now his dad's best friend got all the shares of the company. And now the best friend was really more of like a mentee to the dad. He was younger than the dad. He's like 10, 15 years older than the heroine. He's like in his late 30s. She's 25. He used to be a professional baseball player, and then he invested in the company and then like helped raise the company up to what it is now. And she's working there, and it's fine. I mean, they play around, like dance around each other and see each other at this like sex club that they're both interested in, and then they decide to secretly date, and really that's all that happens. And I was like, where is my drama and angst? It just felt like way too easy, and they got together very easily, and that was it of their relationship. And I'm like, okay. And then we have the epilogue with marriage, and I'm like, okay, like I just needed a little bit more to the story than what I got. So this one gets 3 stars, maybe 3.5. It wasn't bad, but I definitely was bored halfway through and started skimming the rest because I was just like, nothing's happening, and nothing happened. So we do have like a little bit of a suspense, but like that was really it. So I wanted so much more to happen in this one. Maybe I built it up to be too much in my mind, but that's what it ended up being. And those are the books that I read in the first half of July. Let me know what you read, or if you've read any of these. I would love to know what you thought of them, and that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.